Good afternoon and happy day back after Christmas. Market was back open today on its normal schedule, but things were a little bit slower because people are still out with their family doing whatever for the holidays. So I was expecting a little bit of a slower market today, and that's what we had. Although we did have some good opportunities. Although the obvious runners were just a little slim. So the main runner today was ECDA. This is the one that I really focused on the most out of market open. And we were able to zone in and take about 6 wins on it today. So as always, I'm going to break down every single trade that I took today, how I took it, why I took it, when I took it. That way, hopefully you can learn how to do it too. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Today was Friday, of course, the day after Christmas. And I came in with a half size risk today because I knew today was probably going to be a little bit slow. And it definitely was. So we had a few things we were watching into the open today. And the pre-market watch list consisted of quite a few stocks. You can see here, let me get rid of the recap, that way you can more easily see. And I was watching SIDU, ASPC, ECDA, and DTCK. Now, these were your most obvious runners into the open. We're going to look at all of them here and sort of see what I was looking at. Looked like back at DTCK, and this was a pretty good look into market open, but it had a few issues. You had the lower highs here, of course, from pre-market form. We're looking for the break of this sort of descending channel to the upside. But my issue here is we have these past big old wicks off the highs, which sort of makes this tough. Because then you take a break of trend, you're running straight up into overhead resistance here, you see, and so it just wasn't a great look. So I was going to watch it there with 46 over VWAP for a possible opportunity, depending on how it actually broke out. But being that it pretty much exhausted all of its range on the initial breakout, then there was no range here to play, right? Because it just breaks out and just instantly pegs this target spot. So left that alone, of course, there was no range there. Then we had ASPC, which I was watching over 20.5 today, which ended up making the move. You can see here that we were watching it here on the break of VWAP. This thing goes at market open, massive spread, and it just halts straight up, massive gap, halts down. Of course, I don't play this either. I don't play the halting mess. Like I said today on stream with my students, you go and try to play these. You get FOMO around stuff like this. And what you have to understand is a lot of you get FOMO because you see stuff moving up bigly and you get focused so much on, oh my God, how much can I make? How much am I going to miss out on making? Let's focus more on how much you're going to lose. How much can I lose on this trade if it doesn't go my way? When risk to reward is not in your favor, nothing else matters. So it's a major shift in how you think that has to take place. You've got to stop focusing so much on what am I going to miss out on? What am I going to make? And focus more so on what am I going to lose? When you look at it that way, you're not going to go trading these nasty halters because they just aren't probable. You just don't have a high probability setup. You don't know where this is going to go. You don't know where it's going to open. So you can't manage risk like you need to. So in this case, this is a massive gamble. Let this one alone as well. And so that left us with ECDA and SIDU. And SIDU is from last night's watch list. And I took a paper cut on this today. Now, of course, the game plan was not in play at this high initially. I was watching the break way down here over 240 or something. I forget what the game plan was. But anyways, it gapped up early this morning in pre-market. And so the game plan already had to change because now we've put in place this big, massive consolidation that we've got to look for a breakout of. And so it gets breaking out going into market open. And it puts in place, this is where it looks pretty good. And I'm like, all right, let me try this here. So it puts in place a big wick off the highs out of market open. So I'm like, oh, cool, we have some sellers sitting through here, right? We have liquidity sitting through. So I can grab this as an area of supply. And so as price comes back to retest, you can see it finds a buyer here. So I said, let me try to take a pullback and see if we can't get a little bit of a move here. And so we had these lower highs overhead. So I knew we had range back to, we might have had room here back to 330. And so I take it here at 320, risking off the 20 moving average down here around 315 into this area of supply, which is now demand. And I'm looking for the move back towards about 330. And it starts to hesitate. So what do? I just take an exit. Because you can see what happens here is, look at this. It tries to curl in this next candle after my entry. You see that wick off the high, it hesitates and pops right back beneath the 90 MA. I said, oh, this thing's hesitating. We're seeing sellers come back in on the attempted curl. So I went ahead and cut it for a small loss. Pretty much paper cut. It was like a cent of a loss, 1 cent risk, or a cent a share loss. So it is what it is. So step away from this because it was just trading a little bit weird. Tried to get going and it just kept on finding sellers. Again, here it tries to get going and just finds sellers. So left it alone. But where it gets good was ECDA. This thing was so fruitful today. I could not believe it. And this is what we talk about. We're talking about an obvious stock. This checked off every single box today. When you're talking share price, this was trading at about $1.30 this morning. You're looking at a sub 1 million share float, recent reverse split, tons of range on the daily chart. So this just looked good. And going into the open, again, same story here. We had this really nice tightening wedge formed, right? Where we have this lower high action, putting in place this nice higher low. Again, this has to get breaking out. And so, again, it just checks off all the boxes. This gets breaking out with a ton of volume at market open. I'm looking for that pullback off of VWAP because look at the confluence here. Again, it's all confluence. This breaks out in a huge close there on that first 1 minute candle, right? Then it pulls back, and what do we have right there? It pulls back and it confirms off the 90 MA and off VWAP right here. They go hand in hand. Look at this right here intersecting. Beautiful setup. So was able to enter here at, you can see, about 132 or 131 with the stop loss at the bottom of this candle to ensure that bottom holds at 125 right there off of VWAP of the 90 MA. So about 5 cents a share of risk. And cut them here all the way to $1.40 almost instantly. This candle resolves higher and instantly pops to 140 and retests this previous high and a ton of strength as well on that attempted break. And so as we come back to retest that area, I see it pull back a little bit after, again, another strong candle to close, and I'm starting to take pullbacks. I take another pullback here. Look at this at 137. I snag another pullback 147 for the leg up higher, and I get a move back to about 142, where I then raise my stop loss above entry and was able to cut it there and take my full profit as it rejected off those highs. So that was beautiful. Overall, played this first move here from 131 to about 142. Super stoked. Now, I know that move was so strong, it pulls back off of VWAP. And again, I'm looking around at the market. I'm like, how much else moving? I have SIDU moving, but it's so choppy. I don't think anybody's really watching that. So this was just the obvious stock. It was trading so clean, super low float, reverse split. Beautiful. All right, so, and we still had a ton of range to the upside too, to like 150, 180. I'm watching this, and I see it pull back off of VWAP. Well, it pulls back off of VWAP, and look at this. We get this perfect confirmation where it puts in place this doji off of VWAP, which also happens to be right here off these lows. And so now I'm able to recognize that buyers found it off the back to VWAP. Well, let's give her a shot again. It pulls back again off of VWAP. We see it hesitate to move any lower with that big doji put in. And so I'm able to take it here for a very small win. You can see I played it here initially from 132 back to about 137. So played it back for that little move higher. Then it pulls back again off of VWAP and it confirms again. And I know now that my stop loss, of course, has to be right here off these lows. I've got to see those lows hold. And so I take a re-entry as buyers find it again. And I play it there from 131 back to about 139. Another really easy win. Cool. So at this point in the morning, I'm sitting here and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 wins on this. Beautiful. Super happy. But that's not it. So now I understand that we've got sellers sitting all through this range here. And so I can go ahead and mark that up as an area of supply using this wick. Because we can see right here where it wicks off this high and puts in place this area of supply. And so as price breaks above, we want to see it pull back and confirm, and that becomes an area of demand, right, to use as our risk for confluence. And so as you can see, it pulls back after breaking out on this next candle here. It breaks out in a strong way and closes above this area of supply. The next candle pulls back, and what do? I take an entry risking off the 90 MA. And so again, I'm able to take it there, as you can see, at about 141. Stop loss goes at 134. So again, close to 5 cents of risk again. And I get them here back up to about 147. I took a full profit there because you were underneath that 150 level, which we were so sort of cautious of from the daily time frame. Not to mention the high from pre-market was also sitting right up here as well, which is where that high rejected. Now, I'm a little bit mad because I missed a big entry here today. I caught all of those beautifully. Could not have been happier. 5 for 5 on this morning. And then I missed the next big leg. It rejects back to VWAP, and I sort of hesitate. By the time I look back at this to trade it, it's gone. Nothing happens so quickly. This goes popping from to 160 to 170, and I just miss it. So this massive extension here, I missed. This big old leg, I missed. But hey, attacked on all these base hits through here to just really lock in a beautiful day. Now off the highs here, it pulls back off the 90 MA, and I play it for a little scalp here, and I take a little loss here. And so overall, it didn't really do much here up into the highs because that risk to reward just really wasn't fantastic. So all my profits today came from just this range down here for the first 30 minutes after market open. So while I would have loved to have caught this big move today, I catch everything. And so I'm happy to have caught it the way that I did this morning. I caught pretty much every single move otherwise. So I couldn't be happier there. And it's just one of those things where on a day like today where we know it's Christmas, the day after Christmas, you got to look around and say, okay, I know volume's going to be lacking, opportunity's going to be lacking. People are going to come in and nail some wins and step away. I wasn't trying to get too aggressive today. I still was trying to execute good trades and trade what was most obvious. And that's what you got to do is just focus on the most obvious stock. I saw a lot of people today focusing on stocks that really weren't obvious. Stocks they really shouldn't be focusing on just because nothing else is moving, and that's called a forced trade. You don't want to do that. So look around at the environment around you. But all in all, another green day, all green week this week for Christmas, and I just could not be more grateful. The opportunity the market gave us this week. It's been an awesome month. Compared to the slowness of October, November, it's a blessing. So hope you guys had a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy holidays. And of course, we'll be back on Monday to crush it again for another holiday week. So if you did learn a thing or two from this video, make sure to subscribe for daily content just like this. And of course, make sure to claim your 7-day free trial down in the description below to get access to watch me trade these stocks in real time every single day and get alerts, education, chat room access, scanners, news, our new journaling app, Momentum AI, and so much more. And that being said, I'll catch you there. Let me know in the comments below how you did today, and I'll see you next time.